Hello friends, and welcome back to the cabin. I thought that we would talk a little bit today about relics or antiques. I have got a collection. When the kids were small, when we would go up and visit with their grandparents, I would go out in the afternoon if it had rained, and I would look around the garden to see if I could find arrowheads, and a lot of these I found. These small ones right here, that would be more like for shooting very small game. Be like an arrow tip, small arrow. Then this one right here would be more medium size for hunting a little bit larger game. And then of course you've got something like this that you might put on the end of a spear because this would be too heavy to shoot for sure. But yeah, these are a lot of the different types that I had found over the years. The kid's mom came to help Jennifer move, and she gave me, I think it was 3 more. Yeah, 3 more. Here's a nice one. This is a fully scribed axe head. That's a large one. Then there was a smaller one right here, which this is the same. It's a fully scribed axe head. So we've got that we're adding there. Then this right here. This is another type of an axe that they would have used. So we're adding that in. And then 2 cute little trinkets right here. Now these are something that they may have made to keep things in. Kind of like a little bowl. So we're going to add those in there as well. You know friends, I just love this kind of stuff, and I'm always trying to keep an eye out where I can find things like that. Sometimes I get a lot of stuff given to me, and I certainly do appreciate it, because I don't know what it is about something like this, but to me this is just so interesting. And the fact that I've got a lot of hand operated tools just goes to prove that, you know, back in the day they could still do things like what I'm doing now and they didn't have any batteries, they didn't have any electricity, they didn't have any sawmills or anything, but they still got the job done. So things like that are very interesting to me. You know, I think I mentioned it before that my grandfather, his mother was Indian. She was a Choctaw Indian. And so that made my father, or my grandfather, half Indian, right? So my dad would have been a quarter Indian, and that would make me 1/8, which, you know, that's a very small portion. And I was just thinking about my kids, you know, that's like a 16th, right? So, but yeah, it's funny because, you know, I can look back at pictures of him and he looked Indian. Now I don't think that I look any Indian because, you know, like I said, I only got just a minute portion in me, but still yet there is a interest. I don't think it matters whether you've got any type of heritage in you or not, but just the fact that old school things like that, I think, attract interest from probably people from all walks of life. And the fact that they could take, you know, a piece of stone and carve something like this little thing right here probably took hours. So it was probably a hobby that they kicked back maybe after supper one evening after a hard day's work, and they just kind of sat by the fireside and piddled around until they got this done. So I'm not sure, but I thought that, you know, these 2 items right here were really cool. And they just got some straight line design to them, but it does add a little bit of appeal. I'm not sure how far back these would date, but if you know, please leave me some comments below and let me know. These 2 items right here are really quality, because there's hardly not any defect at all on them. This is almost perfect with hardly no defect. This has got some chips taken out of it, but yeah, we've got some really nice arrowheads. Here's a really nice arrowhead right there. Now, Jennifer's grandfather used to love to collect things like this. He would trade, he would purchase, anytime he could get his hands on stuff like this. And he also had plaques that maybe had twice this many arrowheads that were glued in different patterns, and he had plaques of them hanging around the living room and stuff like this in boxes. He just loved to collect items like this. And let me know down in the comments section if you have ever done anything like this, or if you have a collection, and if so, what is it? It doesn't necessarily have to be arrowheads, but you know, something, you know, from back in the day, so to speak. This would, I don't know how old these might be, maybe a couple hundred years old, maybe. If you know, also leave me a comment and let me know what period these might date back to. But they're in really, really good shape, and that just goes to show that something as crude as a stone, how they could refine that to make a tool out of it, just like we refine steel today to make tools out of. They were refining stone with basically, you know, just another piece of stone, and they would sit and they would whittle on something like that, and they would carve out a tool. Very, very, very interesting. I'm not sure, but these three big ones that I've got here, I was thinking about maybe taking a 1x8, something like that, and kind of carving down, whittling down into it where this would sit down in there halfway, and then once I got that positioned and dug out where I could glue it in there, not sure how I would orient those, but then I would be able to hang the board up on the wall. Yeah, to find something like this that was unbroken and it doesn't have any defects to it. So yeah, some of these I've probably had 35, 40 years since, like I said, since the kids were small. But since I've been hanging on to them, when I'm gone, then they'll have them, and I don't know what they'll do with them. So I'm not really sure how long the period may have been that the transition from antiques like those arrowheads to the period like this right here, when we were actually making hand tools out of metal, maybe another 50 to 100 years. But this period right here was a really early period. This right here is used for actually making shingles out of a small log. But these hand tools right here allowed people to work a whole lot faster. Some of my favorite tools are things like this and this drawing knife. I haven't used this brace in a long time, but I've got it there in case that I need it. I've never really had to use this pitchfork right here because I don't have a way to make any hay down there. But you know, tools like this, I really like using hand tools because there's just something about working with your hands and ending up with a nice result that is just inspiring. I've got a mattock right here where the handle rotted out that we're going to have to replace, and we'll have to heat this back up and bend it out. But this is a really nice mattock that we could use here on the homestead. Then I've got some more tools hanging over here so that if I need two of something, I can go get it. Then over here I got a couple of meat saws. I got another hand saw right here, another brace. Here's a small bit in there, a hand drill, and a one-man crosscut. I tell you what, friends, when it comes to hand tools, I really like mine. Just like this adze right here. I was able to antique the posts that I used on the timber frame down there to make it look like it had been cut with a broad axe, even though it wasn't. But I was also able to give it a design, basically make it look like it was hewn out, right? And this is what the tool that I used. Now they make one of these that is kind of cupped like this for kind of like digging in a channel or hollowing out something like a bowl, which is another tool that I want to get. And this is the one that I had to redo the handle in. the handle was a little bit longer, but it was uncomfortable for me. It kept hitting me right here in the belly every time I would swing it. So the way that I've got my log set up now, it's about 6 inches off of the ground, and most of the posts that I use are 6x6s, and when I would stand up, this would touch the top of it just right. So I went ahead and measured that and then cut it off, and so every time I'm pretty much in the same position when I'm hewing out a log. So yeah, I love my hand tools, and you know, there's really no other way that I know of to get a look like that. I know that they have some machines that supposedly do things like that, but I don't think that it comes close to looking like it was actually handmade, just like I've got down there at the workshop. This type of look right here, friends, just like this look right here, friends, you can't buy that look anywhere. And just like that beam up there. You know, I was sitting here thinking that when I get the siding put on the workshop down there on the back side, that's a big long wall. I'm going to have a lot of room to be able to hang all of my hand tools up down there, kind of like I've got here at the cabin. So if I need something, they'll all be back there, put up nice and neat and out of the way. If I need something, all I gotta do is run back there and get it. It'd be really, really handy. It's not gonna be long until Jennifer and Steven start asking for a shed to be built so that they'll have a place to put some things, because they've still got so much stuff they don't know what to do with. And we kind of talked about around the corner of the house over there where the air conditioner and the septic tank is. There's a place over there that they might be able to build one about 12 deep by maybe 16 to 20 long. That'll get them a good start to be able to put a lot of their hand tools and whatnot, and he's got a rototiller and possibly the lawnmower in there as well. So that'll give them a place to put a bunch of the stuff and kind of get it out of the way. So it may be getting the siding finished, and then before I start, you know, working on a storm shelter somewhere, I may be making them a place where they can, like I said, store some things. And then she's going to have to also have some steps, maybe even on a small back porch before they can close on the house down there, back there around where the kitchen is. I think maybe just a set of steps, because once they close on the house, we can go back and build a really nice porch and then reuse those steps once we get the porch built. But that's something else that's going to happen before they can actually close on their house. We still have the kitchen pantry, one bathroom, and Steven's area up over the garage that we need to make some attention to, like some baseboards and just some items that need finished, so that we can call that done. And we're not too far away from hopefully them trying to close. We still need to get, you know, the landscaping outside, that needs to be completed as well. And then they need to get their gas line in, but I do have that hooked up temporary, so they could actually close on the house and not have that put in. But we're working on it, and we will get there. Friends, thanks so much for stopping by. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you back up here at the cabin again next time.